The first time my sister-in-law spat in my face, I just stood there, mascara running down my cheeks, wondering how my family could still be taking her side. The warm July sun beat down on our backyard gathering, but I felt cold inside, watching my mother rush to comfort Vienna while shooting daggers at me with her eyes. I'm Zella, and I've spent 30 years being the family disappointment. Not because I've done anything wrong. I have a stable job, my own apartment, and I've never been in trouble with the law. No. My crime was simply existing in the shadow of my perfect brother, Antonio, and his wife, Vienna. You ungrateful little bitch, Vienna hissed, her perfectly manicured finger pointing at my chest. How dare you suggest I had anything to do with your promotion being denied? I wiped my face with trembling hands. I saw the email you sent to my boss. You told him I was unstable. Zella, stop making up stories, my mother Marlene snapped, rubbing Vienna's shoulder. Why do you always have to cause drama at family gatherings? The familiar ache in my chest intensified as I looked around at the faces of my relatives. My father stood awkwardly by the grill, pretending to be absorbed in flipping burgers. Antonio crossed his arms, positioning himself between me and his precious wife. I have proof, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Vienna laughed, the sound like breaking glass. Show it then. Go ahead. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, but before I could open my emails, my mother snatched it away. Enough! She shouted. I won't let you ruin another family gathering with your jealousy. Vienna has done nothing but try to include you, and this is how you repay her? Include me? I couldn't hold back a bitter laugh. By sabotaging my career? By telling everyone I'm mentally unstable? Well, you're certainly acting unstable right now, Vienna said sweetly, wrapping her arm around Antonio's waist. Maybe you should see someone about that. My brother finally spoke up. Zell, come on! You're embarrassing yourself. That's when Vienna spat in my face, right there, in front of everyone. And nobody, not one person, said a word in my defense. You're pathetic, my mother said, shaking her head. Look at you, causing all this trouble. Vienna's pregnant, for God's sake. She doesn't need this stress. The announcement hit me like a punch to the gut. Of course she was pregnant. Of course she'd choose this moment to drop that bomb. Congratulations! I managed to choke out, backing away from the group. I hope you're all very happy together. Zella, wait! My father called half-heartedly, but I was already walking away. Let her go, I heard Vienna say. She'll calm down eventually. She always does. I grabbed my purse from the patio table and headed for my car, my legs somehow carrying me, despite feeling like they might give out at any moment. As I fumbled with my keys, I heard my aunt asking if I was okay. She's fine, my mother's voice carried across the yard. Just being dramatic as usual. Vienna's the real victim here. I slammed my car door shut and started the engine, my vision blurring with tears. The same thought kept running through my head. This time would be different. This time, I wouldn't just calm down and let it go. My phone buzzed with a text from Antonio. You owe Vienna an apology. She's carrying your future niece or nephew. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I threw my phone onto the passenger seat and pulled out of the driveway, tires screeching against the asphalt. In my rearview mirror, I could see them all gathered around Vienna, probably cooing over her pregnancy announcement. The rage building inside me felt different from the usual hurt and resignation. For the first time, I wasn't just sad. I was furious. Vienna had crossed a line, and my family had let her. No, they'd encouraged her. As I drove away from my parents' house, I made a decision. I wouldn't just disappear this time. I wouldn't just take it. Vienna wanted to paint me as unstable? Fine. I'd show her what happened when you pushed someone too far. I pulled into a parking lot and grabbed my phone, searching for local support groups. I needed allies. People who would understand. People who would help me fight back. The first result caught my eye. Breaking free from toxic family dynamics. Meeting tonight at 7 p.m. I checked the time. 6:15 p.m. Just enough time to get there. For the first time that day, I smiled. The community center's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I slipped into the back row of metal folding chairs. A dozen people sat in a circle, their faces showing varying degrees of exhaustion and pain I recognized all too well. Would anyone like to share tonight? The group facilitator, a gentle-voiced woman named Rita, looked around the room. My hand shot up before I could stop myself. Maybe it was the lingering anger, or maybe it was just knowing I had nothing left to lose, but suddenly I needed to speak. "I'm Zella," I said, my voice cracking. And today, my sister-in-law spat in my face while my entire family watched and did nothing. A collective gasp filled the room. A woman with bright purple braids leaned forward. "She did what?" "Spat in my face, then announced she was pregnant, so everyone rushed to comfort her instead." I let out a shaky laugh. "And the best part? She's been secretly sabotaging my career, but I'm the one who needs to apologize." "That's messed up," a man in a navy sweater said. "Like, seriously messed up." "I'm Leah," the woman with purple braids said. "And I know exactly what it's like when toxic people hide behind pregnancy to get away with abuse." The man in the sweater nodded. "Kaisen," he introduced himself. "Former family scapegoat, current advocate for standing up to bullies." After the meeting, Aaliyah and Kaisen approached me in the parking lot. "Want to grab coffee?" Aaliyah asked. "You look like you could use friends right now." 20 minutes later, we sat in a 24-hour diner, and I found myself spilling everything over lukewarm coffee and stale pie. "So she sent an email to your boss?" Kaisen pulled out a notebook. "Do you still have proof?" "It was forwarded to me by a coworker who saw it accidentally." "I have screenshots, but—" "But what?" Aaliyah pressed. "But every time I try to stand up to her, I end up looking like the crazy one. She's so good at turning everything around." "Classic narcissist move," Kaisen said, making notes. "They push you until you react, then use your reaction to prove you're unstable." My phone buzzed again. Another text from Antonio. "Mom's crying because of you. Hope you're happy." Aaliyah glanced at my phone and scowled. "Let me guess. They're already trying to make you feel guilty?" I nodded, pushing my phone away. "You know what's interesting?" Kaisen tapped his pen against his notebook. "People like your sister-in-law usually have a pattern. I bet this isn't the first time she's done something like this to someone." "What do you mean?" "I mean, we should do some digging. Social media, previous jobs, old friends. People talk, especially if they've been hurt." Aaliyah's eyes lit up. "I'm good at that kind of research. It's literally my job. I work in background checks." "I don't know," I hesitated. "Isn't that going too far?" "Did she go too far when she spat in your face?" Aaliyah asked quietly. "When she tried to ruin your career?" Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a notification. Someone had tagged me in a Facebook post. It was Vienna, posting about the unfortunate family incident and how she was praying for my mental health during her precious pregnancy. "Oh, hell no!" Aaliyah grabbed my arm. "She's trying to control the narrative. We need to act fast." "I think I found something," Kaisen said, scrolling on his phone. "Vienna used to work at Sterling Industries, right?" I nodded. "Well, according to this article from 3 years ago, there was a huge HR scandal there. Several employees filed complaints about workplace bullying and sabotage. No names were mentioned, but the timing matches when she left." My hands started shaking. That's exactly what she did to me." "Zella!" Aaliyah leaned forward, her eyes intense. "You're not crazy. You're not dramatic. You're being abused, and it's time to fight back." "But my family will either wake up or show their true colors," Kaisen finished. "Either way, you'll be free." Just then, my phone buzzed with an email. My heart stopped when I saw the sender. Vienna's former assistant from Sterling Industries. Subject: "I saw your sister-in-law's post. We need to talk." Aaliyah squeezed my hand. "Open it." With trembling fingers, I tapped the email. As I read, my eyes widened. "Well?" Kaisen asked. I looked up at my new allies. a strange calm settling over me. She didn't just try to ruin my career. She's done this before, multiple times, and her former assistant has proof. Then what are we waiting for? Aaliyah grinned. Let's get to work. For the first time in years, I felt something stronger than fear or hurt. I felt powerful. Vienna thought she could silence me with a Facebook post and family pressure. She had no idea what was coming. I'm in, I said. Where do we start? Play it again, Aaliyah said, leaning forward in her chair. We were gathered in my apartment, reviewing the recording Vienna's former assistant had sent me. Vienna's voice filled the room. I don't care what you have to do. Just make sure Sarah doesn't get that promotion. Plant something in her desk if you have to. That position is mine. That's the third recording we've found of her threatening someone's career, Kyson said, making notes. All with the same pattern. I nodded, feeling slightly sick. And all of them ended up having mental breakdowns at work, just like she's trying to do to me. Your sister-in-law's been busy, Aaliyah muttered, scrolling through her laptop. Look at this. 5 different workplaces in 7 years, each time climbing higher by stepping on others. My phone buzzed. Another text from my mother. Vienna's having terrible morning sickness. The stress you're causing isn't helping. Why can't you just apologize? Don't respond, Kyson warned, seeing my expression. That's exactly what they want. I know, but... My voice caught. It's hard. They're still my family. Family doesn't let someone spit in your face, Aaliyah reminded me firmly. A knock at my door made us all jump. Through the peephole, I saw Antonio standing in the hallway. It's my brother, I whispered. Record everything, Kyson said quickly, helping me set up my phone's voice recorder. I opened the door. Antonio looked tired, his usual polished appearance slightly rumpled. Can we talk? He asked. Are you here to collect another apology for your wife? He winced. Look, I know things got out of hand at the barbecue, but... Out of hand? I stepped back, letting him see Aaliyah and Kyson. Your wife spat in my face, Antonio, in front of our entire family. She's pregnant, Zella. Her hormones... Don't you dare! Aaliyah stood up. Don't you dare use pregnancy to excuse abuse. Antonio's eyes narrowed. Who are you? Zella, what is this? These are my friends, I said. The only people who actually defended me after your wife assaulted me. Assaulted? Antonio laughed. Now you're being dramatic. Kyson pressed play on the recording we'd been reviewing. Vienna's voice filled the room again, detailing her plans to sabotage Sarah's career. Antonio's face went pale. What is this? Your wife's greatest hits, I said. Want to hear more? We have plenty. Where did you get these? His voice shook slightly. Turns out I'm not the first person Vienna's tried to destroy, I said. Just the latest in a long line. But I'm going to be the last. Are you threatening my wife? No, I said calmly. I'm promising to expose the truth. Unless what? I took a deep breath. Unless she publicly admits what she did to me and the others. Unless she gets help for whatever makes her need to destroy people. You're trying to blackmail us? Antonio's face reddened. I'm trying to stop her before she hurts anyone else, I corrected, including your baby. That hit home. I saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. Think about it, Antonio, Aaliyah added softly. What happens when the baby gets older? When they start competing with Vienna for attention? What happens when they succeed at something she wants? Get out, Antonio said, but his voice lacked conviction. All of you, get out. We're in my apartment, I reminded him, but you can leave whenever you want. Just remember, I'm not backing down this time. As Antonio stormed out, my phone pinged with a notification. Someone had shared Vienna's Facebook post about my mental health issues in a local community group. Perfect timing, Kyson said, grinning. Ready to release the first recording? I hesitated. What if it backfires? That's why we have a plan, Aaliyah reminded me. We start small, just enough to make people question her perfect image. My hands shook as I typed out my response to Vienna's post. Interesting how my mental health issues started right after I discovered this email to my boss. I attached the screenshot. And now we wait, Kyson said. We didn't have to wait long. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. Vienna was calling repeatedly. My mother left angry voicemails. But among the family chaos, other messages started appearing. Vienna did the same thing to me at Sterling Industries. I thought I was crazy. She gaslighted me for months. I have emails too. Do you want them? I looked at my new friends, tears in my eyes. I can't believe this is really happening. Believe it, Aaliyah said, hugging me. The truth is coming out, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. Just then, a new email arrived. From Vienna herself. Subject line: We need to talk, now. Kyson smiled grimly. Let the games begin. Don't open it yet, Kyson warned as I reached for my phone. Let her sweat. We were at Aaliyah's apartment now, watching the chaos unfold on social media. The support group had helped us launch a petition called Stop Workplace Bullying, Share Your Story, and the responses were pouring in. Another one from Sterling Industries, Aaliyah announced, scrolling through her laptop. This woman says Vienna threatened to tell HR she was stealing if she didn't quit. My phone buzzed again. Vienna's third email in an hour. Subject: You're making a huge mistake. Now can I respond? I asked. Wait for it. Kyson checked his watch. Your brother should be home from work right about now. Right on cue, my phone rang. Antonio. Put it on speaker, Aaliyah whispered, hitting record on her phone. What the hell are you doing? Antonio's voice crackled through the speaker. Telling the truth, I replied. How's Vienna handling it? She's hysterical. Her doctor's worried about the baby's stress levels. Is that what you want? To hurt my child? That's rich, Aaliyah cut in. Using an unborn baby as a shield. Again. Stay out of this, Antonio snapped. Zella, you need to take down that post and the petition, now. Or what? Or we'll sue you for defamation. Vienna's already talking to lawyers. I laughed, surprising myself. Perfect. Let's get everything on record in court. I'm sure her former colleagues would love to testify. Silence on the other end. Tell Vienna to check her email, I said. I'm about to respond to her messages. I hung up and opened my laptop, pulling up Vienna's emails. Keep it professional, Kyson advised. No emotions. I typed, Dear Vienna, I'm happy to meet and discuss this situation. Bring your lawyer if you'd like. I'll bring mine, along with documentation from your former coworkers. Your choice. Best regards, Zella. Send it, Aaliyah said. As soon as I hit send, a new notification popped up. Someone had shared a video in the petition comments. Oh my God, I whispered as we watched. It was security footage from Sterling Industries' parking garage, showing Vienna keying a car and then crying to security that she'd witnessed someone else do it. The timestamp, Kyson pointed out. This was 2 days before Sarah's breakdown at work. Who sent this? I asked. Anonymous, Aaliyah said, but the message says, former security guard, happy to verify in court. My phone lit up with a text from my mother. Your father's had to take blood pressure medication because of this drama. I hope you're satisfied destroying our family. Before I could respond, another notification appeared. Vienna had gone live on Facebook. Play it, I said. Vienna's tear-streaked face filled the screen. I want to address the horrible lies being spread about me. I'm deeply hurt that my sister-in-law, who clearly needs help, has chosen to attack me during my pregnancy. I've only ever tried to help her career. Is she serious? Aaliyah muttered. And I forgive her because that's what family does. I just pray she gets the mental health support she needs. Turn it off, I said. I can't watch anymore. Wait. Kyson held up his hand. Look at the comments. Comments were flooding in, but not the supportive ones Vienna usually got. Where's your response to the Sterling Industries video? I worked with you at Maxwell Corp. Should I share our emails too? Playing the victim while you're the bully. Classic narcissist. Vienna abruptly ended the live stream. She's panicking, Kyson said. This isn't going according to her script. My laptop pinged with a new email. Unknown sender. Subject line. Vienna Hopkins May, what she did to me. Inside was a detailed account from someone claiming to be Vienna's college roommate, with screenshots of old messages showing a pattern of manipulation and sabotage going back years. This is bigger than we thought, Aaliyah said quietly. Forward it to Antonio, Kyson suggested. He needs to see who he really married. As I hit forward, another text came through. This time from my father. Can we talk? Just us? I showed the others. Go, Aaliyah said, but meet him in public and keep your phone recording. I texted back. Coffee shop on 5th Street in 30 minutes? His response came quickly. I'll be there. No mom, no Vienna. Promise. I grabbed my jacket, hands shaking slightly. What do I say to him? The truth, Kyson said simply. Just the truth. We'll be nearby if you need us, Aaliyah added, hugging me. As I headed for my car, Vienna's latest email arrived. You have no idea what you've started. I smiled grimly. For once, she was right about something. She really had no idea what I'd started. My father looked older than I remembered as he sat across from me in the coffee shop, his coffee untouched. Dark circles under his eyes matched the worry lines creasing his forehead. Your mother doesn't know I'm here, he said quietly. I figured. I wrapped my hands around my cup, anchoring myself. How bad is it at home? Vienna's been throwing up all morning, claims it's stress-induced. He paused. Antonio's sleeping in the guest room. That was new. They're fighting? He found more emails, old ones from before they were married. Dad's voice cracked. She did something similar to his ex-girlfriend, made it look like she was stealing from their shared apartment. And you're just now believing me? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. Zella, His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and winced. Mom? He nodded. She's called 12 times since I left. Show me, I said. He turned his phone around. The messages made my stomach turn. Where are you? Vienna's having contractions. If you're with Zella, I'll never forgive you. The doctor says she might lose the baby because of this stress. She's lying, I said flatly, about the contractions. Vienna's been posting on Instagram all morning. She's at the salon. Dad's eyes widened. What? I pulled up Vienna's stylist's latest post from an hour ago. Vienna getting highlights, smiling at the camera. The caption read, Pampering my favorite mama-to-be. Height, pregnancy glow. Oh, God, Dad whispered. Your she's been crying all morning about Vienna being in the hospital. My phone buzzed. Aaliyah had sent a link to a new post in our petition group. Someone had shared Vienna's salon photo alongside my mother's Facebook status about rushing Vienna to the emergency room. It's all falling apart, isn't it? Dad said, his voice hollow. It was never real to begin with. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed. I looked up to see Antonio walking in, his face ashen. I tracked Dad's phone, he said, sliding into our booth. We need to talk. About what? I asked. About how Vienna destroyed your ex's life? Or about how she's been manipulating everyone for years? About how I'm filing for divorce. The words hung in the air like smoke. What? Dad and I spoke simultaneously. Antonio pulled out his phone. Remember my old girlfriend Maria? The one who supposedly stole from us? He pressed play on a voice recording. Vienna's voice filled our corner of the coffee shop. Of course I planted the jewelry in her gym bag. That stupid bitch actually thought Antonio would believe her over me. Please, now she's gone, and I got exactly what I wanted. Where did you get that? I whispered. Her old roommate from college sent it to me. Said she's been holding on to it for years, feeling guilty. Antonio's hands were shaking. There's more, so much more. God, I've been such a fool. Dad put his head in his hands. Your mother, she's going to have to face reality, I finished firmly. My phone lit up with a notification. Vienna had just gone live on Instagram again, this time from her lawyer's office. "Play it," Antonio said. Vienna's tear-stained face appeared on screen. "I'm here to announce that I'm filing a restraining order against my sister-in-law, who has launched a vicious campaign of harassment against me and my unborn child." Comments were already flooding in. "But you're at the salon an hour ago? What about the Sterling Industries video? Stop playing victim." The live stream abruptly ended. "She doesn't know I'm here," Antonio said. "She thinks I'm at work, supporting her lawsuit." "What are you going to do?" I asked. "I've already done it. Filed for divorce this morning. My lawyer has copies of everything. The recordings, the emails, the videos, all of it." Dad's phone buzzed again. Mom was calling. "Answer it," I said. "Put it on speaker." "Roland, where are you? Vienna's being rushed to the hospital again and—" "No, she's not," Dad cut in, his voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. "She's at her lawyer's office, Marlene. I can see her Instagram livestream right now." Silence. "We need to talk," Dad continued. "All of us. About the truth." "What truth?" Mom's voice wavered. "What are you—" "The truth about what Vienna's done to our family," Antonio said loudly. "About what she's done to everyone." Another notification popped up on my phone. The local news wanted to interview me about the workplace bullying petition. "It's your choice," Kyson texted. "Ready to take this public?" I looked at my father and brother, both nodding slowly. "Yes," I typed back. "It's time everyone knew the truth." "Just breathe," Aaliyah whispered as the news crew set up their equipment in my living room. "Remember, you're not the villain here." The reporter, Sarah Martinez, adjusted her blazer and smiled warmly. "We'll start with the workplace bullying petition, then discuss the personal aspects if you're comfortable." My phone buzzed. Vienna's lawyer had sent another threatening email. "Perfect timing," Kyson said, reading over my shoulder. "Forward it to Antonio's divorce attorney." The cameraman counted down. 3, 2, 1. "I'm here with Zella May, whose workplace bullying petition has garnered over 10,000 signatures in just 3 days," Sarah began. "Zella, what inspired you to start this movement?" I took a deep breath. "It started when my sister-in-law sabotaged my career and then spat in my face at a family gathering. But as more people came forward, I realized this was about something much bigger than just me. Your sister-in-law, Vienna Hopkins May, has filed for a restraining order against you, claiming harassment. How do you respond?" "Actually," Antonio's voice came from the doorway, "she hasn't filed anything yet. But I've filed for divorce." Sarah's eyes widened as my brother walked into frame. "This is unexpected." "So was discovering my wife's history of destroying people's lives," Antonio said, sitting beside me. "I'm here to tell the truth." My phone lit up again. Mom was calling. "Take it," Kyson mouthed. "We're live," I warned, answering on speaker. "Vienna's being admitted to the hospital," Mom said frantically. "The baby—" "No, she's not," Antonio cut in. "She's at the spa. I just got the credit card notification." Dead silence. "Mom," I said, my voice steady. "You're on live television. Would you like to explain why you've been lying about Vienna's medical emergencies?" Sarah leaned forward, her professional demeanor intensifying. I didn't," Mom stuttered. "Vienna told me." "Mrs. May," Sarah interjected, "are you aware that making false claims about medical emergencies could be considered fraud?" The line went dead. "Well," Sarah said, "this is certainly more dramatic than we expected. Let's talk about the workplace incidents." The door burst open. Vienna stood there, her face flushed with anger, spa robe still on. "You little bitch!" she snarled at me, then froze as she noticed the cameras. Perfect timing," Sarah said smoothly. "Vienna, would you like to address the allegations? We have some fascinating security footage from Sterling Industries." "You can't air this," Vienna said, her voice shaking. "I'll sue the station." "For reporting the truth?" Antonio stood up. "Like the truth about what you did to Maria?" Vienna's face went white. Who told you about? Your old roommate sent me the recording, the one where you bragged about planting stolen jewelry in her gym bag. The cameraman zoomed in on Vienna's face as it crumpled. I was protecting us, she whispered. Everything I did was for us. No, Antonio said firmly. Everything you did was for you. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. On my way with the police. Your mother called them, claiming Vienna was being held hostage. You want to wait for the police to arrive? I asked Vienna. Mom called them, again. She what? Vienna's hand flew to her stomach. No, no, no. Real contractions this time? Aaliyah asked sweetly. Or just more manipulation? Vienna's eyes darted around the room, taking in the cameras, the witnesses, her husband's disgusted expression. I can explain everything, she said weakly. Please do, Sarah replied, gesturing to an empty chair. We're live, and our viewers would love to hear your side. Sirens wailed in the distance. Vienna Hopkins May. A police officer's voice boomed from the doorway minutes later. We received a report of a hostage situation. As you can see, Sarah gestured around the room, Ms. Hopkins May walked in here freely, interrupting our live interview about workplace bullying. Interview? Vienna's voice cracked. This was a setup. No, I said calmly. This was consequences. The police officer looked confused. Ma'am, making false reports is a serious offense. Who called this in? My mother, I said, who's been making false reports all day. We have it all documented. Vienna suddenly lunged for my laptop on the coffee table. I'll delete everything, all the evidence. Antonio caught her arm. It's over, Vienna. Everything's already been backed up and sent to my lawyer. Your lawyer? She laughed hysterically. I'm carrying your baby. Are you? Antonio asked quietly. Because my lawyer has some interesting medical records that suggest otherwise. The room went completely silent. The camera was still rolling. Vienna's face crumpled as she looked at her husband. Antonio, please. Save it for court, he said, turning away. All of it. As the police began taking statements, my phone lit up with messages from the support group. You did it! She can't hurt anyone else now. Thank you for being brave. I looked at Alia and Kaisen, who were beaming with pride. The truth had finally won. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters as I walked up, Alia and Kaisen flanking me. 2 weeks had passed since the live interview, and today was Vienna's hearing for multiple charges of harassment and fraud. Ms. May! A reporter thrust a microphone toward me. How do you feel about your sister-in-law's claim that she's checking into a mental health facility? No comment, Kaisen said firmly, guiding me through the crowd. Inside, Antonio sat on a bench, looking exhausted. She's trying to claim diminished capacity, he said as we approached. Her lawyer says she's had a psychological break. Convenient timing, Aaliyah muttered. The courtroom doors opened, and my parents walked in. Mom's face was drawn, her usual perfectly maintained appearance showing cracks. Dad gave me a small wave. Can we sit with you? He asked quietly. Before I could answer, Vienna's lawyer rushed over. Mr. and Mrs. May? A word, please? Your testimony about your daughter-in-law's mental state will be crucial. Mom straightened her spine. Actually, we're here to support Zella. The lawyer blinked. But Mrs. Hopkins May said you'd vouch for her character. We've done enough of that, Dad cut in. Too much. The doors opened again. Vienna walked in, wearing a conservative dress and no makeup, clutching a tissue. Her performance was perfect, except for the flash of rage in her eyes when she saw us all together. All rise, the bailiff called. As the judge entered, my phone vibrated. A message from Maria, Antonio's ex. Just landed, coming straight there, got more evidence. The proceedings began with Vienna's lawyer painting a picture of a troubled woman who needed help, not punishment. Then came the prosecution's turn. Your Honor, the prosecutor stood. I'd like to call our first witness, Sarah Thompson, former Sterling Industries employee. Sarah approached the stand, her hands steady as she was sworn in. She looked directly at Vienna as she testified about the sabotage, the planted evidence, the orchestrated breakdown. And do you have proof of these allegations? Sarah nodded. Emails, voice recordings, and security footage, plus 16 other employees ready to testify to similar experiences. Vienna's lawyer jumped up. Objection. My client was experiencing mental health issues during which she documented only after being caught. The prosecutor countered. We have evidence of premeditation spanning years. The courtroom doors opened quietly. Maria slipped in, carrying a thick folder. Antonio's face tightened as she sat behind us. The prosecution calls Maria Rodriguez. Vienna's composed facade cracked slightly as Maria took the stand. Ms. Rodriguez, please tell the court about the jewelry incident. Maria's voice was clear and strong. Vienna planted my grandmother's jewelry in my gym bag, then reported it stolen. But what she didn't know was that I had installed a small camera in my apartment after things started going missing. The prosecutor handed the judge a USB drive. Exhibit C, Your Honor. Security footage showing the defendant placing items in Ms. Rodriguez's bag. Vienna stood up suddenly. She's lying! They're all lying! Mrs. Hopkins May, the judge warned. Control yourself or… I'm pregnant! Vienna wailed. You can't stress me like this. About that, Antonio's lawyer stood. We have medical records proving that claim is false. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Vienna's face went from desperate to calculating in an instant. Fine, she said, her voice suddenly cold. You want the truth? Here's the truth. Every single one of them deserved what they got. They were weak, pathetic. I just exposed what was already there. Her lawyer tried to silence her, but Vienna shoved him away. You think I'm the villain? She pointed at me. Look at her. She turned my whole family against me. She destroyed my marriage. No, my mother's voice rang out clearly. You did that yourself. Vienna spun around. You're taking her side? After everything I did for this family? You mean after everything you did to this family, Dad corrected. Order! The judge banged his gavel. Mrs. Hopkins May, this outburst will not help your case. Case? Vienna laughed. Oh, I'm guilty. Guilty of being the only one strong enough to take what I wanted. And you know what? I'd do it all again. The judge's face hardened. Given the defendant's admission and the overwhelming evidence, I'm prepared to rule immediately. As the judge detailed Vienna's sentence, multiple counts of harassment, fraud, and malicious destruction of property, I felt a hand slip into mine. Mom's eyes were wet with tears. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I should have believed you. We all should have, Antonio added from my other side. As Vienna was led away by court officers, she turned back one last time. This isn't over. Yes, I said, surrounded by my real family and true friends. It is. The truth hadn't just set me free, it had freed everyone Vienna had ever hurt, and that was worth everything we'd been through to get here. Ready? Aaliyah adjusted the microphone on my blazer as we prepared for another television interview. This time, I wasn't nervous. The Workplace Bullying Support Network had grown from a simple petition into a full-fledged nonprofit organization. Today, we were launching a national hotline for victims of workplace harassment. Remember when you could barely speak up at group meetings? Kyson teased, straightening his tie. As our legal advisor, he'd helped dozens of victims build cases against their abusers. My phone buzzed with a text from Antonio. Just got Vienna's latest appeal denied. It's really over. 5 minutes to air, the producer called out. Mom and Dad arrived, carrying boxes of promotional materials for the hotline. They'd become unexpected allies in the cause, with Mom especially throwing herself into volunteer work. Look what came, Mom said, holding up a letter. Vienna's mandatory therapy progress report. The therapist says she's finally starting to show genuine remorse. Good for her, I said, meaning it. But that doesn't change anything. Of course not, Dad agreed. Some bridges can't be rebuilt. The studio doors opened, and Maria walked in with her new baby. She'd reconnected with Antonio during the trial, And though they were taking things slowly, the spark was definitely still there. "Sorry we're late," she said, bouncing the fussy infant. "Someone didn't want to wear her interview outfit." Antonio appeared behind them, carrying the diaper bag. "Like aunt, like niece, both stubborn as hell. Language around the baby," Mom scolded, but she was smiling. The producer approached with Sarah Martinez, who'd become a strong advocate for our cause after that first explosive interview. "We'll start with the hotline launch," Sarah said, "then discuss the impact your story has had. We've got calls lined up from people you've helped." "Including me?" a familiar voice said. I turned to see Sarah Thompson from Sterling Industries. She'd gone from victim to board member of our organization, helping other survivors rebuild their careers. "The network's picking up the show nationally," Sarah Martinez added. "Your message is going to reach millions." "Scared?" Aaliyah asked softly. I looked around at my support system. My real family, both blood and chosen. Not anymore. 2 minutes. My phone lit up with messages from the support group. "You gave us our voices back. Watching with my whole office. Thank you for fighting for us. Ms. May," the producer called, "we need you and your team in position." As we took our places under the bright studio lights, I caught my reflection in the camera lens. The scared, uncertain woman who once let her sister-in-law spit in her face was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who'd learned that speaking up wasn't just about fighting back. It was about lifting others up. 30 seconds! Antonio squeezed my hand. "You know what Mom said yesterday? That Vienna did give our family a gift after all." "What's that?" "She showed us who we really are, and who we could be." 10 seconds! I straightened my shoulders, feeling the weight of all the stories we'd collected, all the lives we'd touched. 5, 4, 3, 2. "Good morning," Sarah Martinez began. "Today we're here with Zella May and her team, who turned a personal story of workplace bullying into a national movement." As the interview progressed, calls flooded in from across the country. People sharing their stories, offering support, asking for help. Each one reminded me why we'd started this journey. "Final question," Sarah said near the end. "What would you say to someone who's being bullied or harassed right now?" I leaned into the microphone, picturing that day in my parents' backyard when everything changed. "You're not crazy, you're not alone, and you don't have to be silent anymore. We're here, we believe you, and we'll help you fight back." "And cut!" the producer called. "That's a wrap!" As the crew started packing up, Aaliyah hugged me tight. "Look what you built from the ashes of what she tried to destroy." My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. "I'm sorry for everything. V." I showed it to the others. "Are you going to respond?" Mom asked. I deleted the message. "Some chapters need to stay closed." "Speaking of chapters," Kyson said, "we've got that book deal meeting next week. Ready to tell your story to an even bigger audience?" "Our story," I corrected, looking at everyone who'd stood by me. It was never just mine. Baby Sophia chose that moment to let out a happy squeal, making us all laugh. "Come on," Antonio said. "Let's get lunch. We've got more work to do." As we left the studio together, I realized something. Vienna had tried to write my story for me, casting me as the villain in her narrative. Instead, she'd taught me to write my own, and it turned out to be better than anything she could have imagined. Not because I won, but because we all did.